And traveling to our great nation's capital, all the way from New York, Long Island, Suffolk County, but most specifically the great town of Southold, is my constituent, Miss Louise Harrison of Save the Sound. Ms. Harrison, thanks so much for being with us today. Ms. Harrison is a conservation biologist who has served on Long Island in various federal, New York State, and Suffolk County agencies, as well as in leadership and consulting positions for nonprofit environmental organizations. Ms. Harrison has served as the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service liaison to the Long Island Sound Study, where she concentrated on stewardship of Long Island Sound's ecosystems, habitat restoration projects, and invasive species control. Ms. Harrison also has extensive field experience working with coastal communities and natural ecosystems from the boroughs of New York City all the way out to Montauk and Orient Points, and has received numerous awards for open space preservation efforts. In fact, in 2009, Ms. Harrison was awarded the Star Award from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for her leadership in Long Island Sound stewardship. Ms. Harrison currently serves as the Long Island Natural Areas Manager for Save the Sound, a local nonprofit whose mission it is to protect and improve the land, air, and water of the whole Long Island Sound region. Thank you again. We appreciate you being with us today.
Ms. Harrison, you have 5 minutes.
Chairperson Tiffany, Ranking Member Neguse, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for inviting me to speak about H.R. 1584, the Plum Island National Monument Act. Thank you, Representative LaLota, for introducing this legislation and for your leadership on this issue, and to Representatives Courtney, Garbarino, D'Esposito, Himes, and Lawler for co-sponsoring this important bipartisan legislation. My name is Louise Harrison, Long Island Natural Areas Manager at Save the Sound. It's an honor to be here today and address this legislation. I'm speaking on behalf of Save the Sound and the Preserve Plum Island Coalition. Save the Sound leads environmental action in the Long Island Sound region. We fight climate change, save endangered lands, protect the Sound and its rivers, and work with nature to restore ecosystems. We know that Long Island Sound is among the most important and valuable estuaries in the nation, generating over $9 billion annually. And at the eastern end of Long Island Sound is Plum Island, New York. The 125-plus national, regional, and local organizations of the Preserve Plum Island Coalition are united by our goal of achieving permanent protection for the remarkable ecological, historical, and cultural resources of Plum Island. Save the Sound coordinates the coalition's activities. The coalition enthusiastically supports H.R. 1584 to designate Plum Island as a national monument for the purpose of ecological conservation, historical preservation, and the discovery and celebration of our shared cultural heritage. We've found widespread support from across the United States for preserving this national treasure in the public trust. The benefits of preserving Plum Island and its ecological riches at the very entrance to Long Island Sound are many. A national monument could return sustainable access to the people. It could tell the story of a unique American landscape, a key component of one of the very last wild coastal ecosystems where the waters of 2 national estuaries meet and mix. Since the 1660s, most people's access to Plum Island has been severely restricted or even prohibited. We want to reverse this inequity. The Montauk Indian Nation has told us that Plum Island is an important part of their cultural heritage and historical territory. Access restored will offer the chance once again to practice cultural traditions and visit sacred sites. Although Plum Island already is recognized for being part of a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service significant coastal habitat and is designated as a unit of the John H. Chafee Coastal Barrier Resources System and is the site of the Plum Island Light Station and the Fort Terry Historic District, both on the National Register of Historic Places, and adjoins the Plum Gut Significant Coastal Fish and Wildlife Habitat under the Coastal Zone Management Act, it has no permanent protection. Its fate is unknown. The organizations in the Preserve Plum Island Coalition, whose members count in the millions, believe it should remain in the public trust for the purposes stated in the bill. A designation would allow for management planning to begin now. Multiple themes and attributes may be combined for protection, further research, public access, and education. We see the National Monument as the model offering the greatest flexibility. Plum Island is the biological linchpin of a beautiful chain of islands between 3 states, New York, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Its iconic lighthouse and wild shores are in the view of thousands of boaters, fishers, and interstate ferry passengers who wonder about it and wait for the chance to get closer to this part of American history and the American story. Let us celebrate and protect this national treasure with the passage of H.R. 1584. Thank you for this opportunity to present our support today.